Hello guys, Ancient Gameplays, I'm Fabio Pisco, and welcome to my channel. As for this video, we finally have the new review of the new Adrenalin drivers, in this case the 25.10.2. And as I say in all my videos, 25 is the year 2025, 10 is the month, October, and 2 is the revision in that same month, so the second revision of October. The October drivers, the 25.10.1, the first ones, were actually some preview drivers for Battlefield 6 only, and that was about it. So AMD was supposed to be releasing these drivers first, but then they kind of didn't. They just released the preview drivers for Battlefield 6, but these new drivers, the 25.10.2, they have some pretty interesting things, and I mean, I even made a list. We have some things that got broken, some things that changed, but overall it's interesting, so wait for it. And while you can and should wait for this, you should not wait for today's sponsor. Today's video sponsor is GVG Mall, bringing you lots of software deals like Windows 10, Windows 11, Office 2019 or 2021 with a new Windows 11 design, and for all of these you can use my SKG discount code for 30% off, getting a Windows 11 serial key for $22 and a Windows 10 one for only $15. Then use the key on your Windows settings and you'll have an activated system. And before starting to read the release notes, I can tell you that these drivers aren't preview. The 25.10.1 were preview drivers, the 25.9.2, the previous ones, were optional, yes, optional drivers, so we had optional, then we had preview, so the last WHQL signed, the last official drivers signed by Microsoft were the 25.9.1, and now the 25.10.2 are also WHQL signed. Just for you to know. But well, let's start with the release notes. Firstly, we start with highlights with new product support for AMD Ryzen AI 5 330. We also have new game support for Battlefield 6 and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 DirectX 12 as well. And we don't really have support for other games that were released, like I believe Borderlands 4, I'm not sure, but there are some games that we don't have official support yet, at least not on the release notes. But now we have some interesting things, especially related to Vulkan. Expanded Vulkan support with VK extension shader float 8. FSR4 uses FP8 floating point 8. Maybe that means that FSR4 for Vulkan is really coming soon. I mean, I tested it, I tried to make it through OptiScaler, I tried to force it, but yeah. The FSR version is still the same, FSR 4.0.2 on the drivers, and we can't actually use Vulkan FSR 4 with these drivers, which is a bummer. I thought it could be in the mix here, but it actually isn't, at least officially, unless you dig in. But yeah, it is what it is. Then we have more extensions for video decode VP9, for video encode AV1, for Vulkan as well, then video encode quantization, dense geometry format, shader untyped pointers, and we have way more of them, and you can click on the final link in order to see more information about the other Vulkan extensions. Another interesting thing is this one. Work graphs. Work graph support. Initial introduction of work graph support on the Radeon RX 9000 series graphics products. And this is very important because if the game actually supports work graphs, because I believe Microsoft already does, this was a thing in between Microsoft and the other companies like AMD and so on, and if Microsoft supports it, AMD supports it, and the game supports it, it should, in theory, again, I don't believe there are any games as of now working with work graphs, but in theory, it should make the game perform better. I've seen some tech demos with Unreal Engine 5.6 or something, and the performance increase, like on the Matrix demo, I believe, the performance increase was around 10 to 20%, which is considerable. So if we can make this work, it could be a big plus, especially for less optimized games. But again, if this is great for less optimized games, developers will optimize even less. It shouldn't be that way, but it generally is, which is a bummer. Now we have some important information, starting with when downgrading to previous versions of AMD software Adrenalin Edition, it is recommended to use AMD Cleanup Utility. You can also use DDU, by the way. USB-C power charging has been disabled for the Radeon RX 7900 series graphics products. Users requiring this feature are recommended to use AMD Software Adrenalin Edition version 25.3.1. Now, the only thing that I can see why this should be disabled, maybe it is causing some power spikes, it is causing some issues, I don't know. Maybe, for example, if the card is consuming 400 watts, but if you are charging something with 120, that might be an issue, I guess. That's why they disabled it. I don't really know. Leave your comment in the comment section and let me know what you think about this. But it is definitely odd, I would say. Using a magic string that can be configured in SBIOS by customers, the driver will determine what codec must be disabled. This includes AGVC, H.264, VP9 and AV1. This is available on Radeon RX 7000 and 9000 series products. And now this is interesting, why only for the 7000 and 9000 series, but we'll get there. And the last one is new game support and expanded Vulkan extension support is available to Radeon RX 7000 and 9000 series graphics products. And actually having the possibility of playing games on Vulkan with FSR 4 like Indiana Jones and so on is a big thing. I really do hope that it comes soon. And now, after all this, we also have fixed issues, and this time finally, we have lots of fixed issues, and we have important issues that have been fixed, according to AMD at least. The first fixed issue is intermittent application crash may be observed while playing The Last of Us Part 2 on the Radeon RX 7900 series graphics products, which is nice. The other one is intermittent application crash may be observed while playing FBC Firebreak on some AMD Ryzen processors such as the Ryzen AI 300 series and the Ryzen 8000 series. Corruption, missing scan travel lines, may be observed while playing Get the Fuck Out, I believe, GTFO on Radeon RX 7000 series graphics products. And this already means that some issues that we have been having for like 3-4 months, they're now fixed in these drivers. That's already a big plus. Stutter may be observed while playing games with some VR headsets at 80 and 90 Hz refresh rates on some AMD graphics products such as the Radeon RX 7000 series. Users experiencing this issue are recommended to change the refresh rate as a temporary workaround. Now, this is something that has been fixed according to AMD, so if you were having these issues, leave a comment in the comment section and let me know if things are fixed or not, because this is very important. This is another issue like the other previous 3 that was happening for, let's say, half a year or even more than that, and it seems that finally it was fixed. Great! And we have more fixed issues. Intermittent application crash may be observed while playing NBA 2K25 in My Career mode on the Radeon RX 9070 series graphics products. AMD is actively working, blah blah blah, doesn't really matter because it is fixed. Stutter may be observed while playing Baldur's Gate 3 on some AMD graphics products such as the Radeon RX 9000 series and 7000 series. Texture flickering or corruption may appear while playing Series M4 on Radeon RX 6000 series graphics products. So yes, the fixed issues aren't only for the 7000 and 9000 series. If you weren't knowing about it, yes, AMD is still working on the older generations, just as normal, as it is normal in all companies. Companies tend to work less on older products. Some don't even do it, but yeah, AMD is working on the older GPUs as well, just way less, which is obvious. And the last fixed issue is shadow corruption on left eye is seen while playing VTOL VR on Radeon RX 7000 series, and Radeon RX 9000 series graphics products. And then we have something in the end with CVE 2023 40 RDNA only. Well, I don't really know what's that, but yeah, we have lots of fixed issues, and we have fixed issues for VR, fixed issues for the other cards, texture flickering, crashing and so on. We have lots of them, so if you were having some of these issues and they were fixed with these drivers, leave a comment in the comment section letting me know of it. And as usual, it is not only cotton candy and unicorns, farting rainbows, I guess. We also have the known issues. Starting with intermittent application crash or driver timeout may be observed while loading a saved game in Cyberpunk 2077 with path tracing enabled. AMD is actively working on a resolution with the developer to be released as soon as possible, something that has been happening for quite a long time. The other one is intermittent application crash or driver timeout may be observed while playing Battlefield 6 on AMD Ryzen AI Ajax 370. Now, I have the Ryzen AI Max 395 Plus now, thank you B-Link by the way, a review will be coming, and that thing is a beast. 120 watts of power draw, and it works like a charm even in the most demanding games at 1080p, and with FSR 4, with the Int 8 version, you can even play at 4K in most games. Battlefield is one of those games, it will work, and it is just great, believe me, this mini computer is a blast. Now, besides that, I also had some issues with Battlefield 6 on that APU, so some crashes, so I guess it is not only with the AGX 370, maybe the Ryzen AI Max also have these issues. But again, it was a crash here or there, but it was mostly playing fine and fluid, so maybe I'm wrong. Intermittent application crash or driver timeout may be observed while playing Roblox Player, Car Zone Racing and Drifting when task switching between media on the Radeon RX 7000 series products, which is another annoying bug I would say. Texture flickering or corruption may appear while playing Battlefield 6 with AMD Record and Stream on some AMD graphics products. So basically, if you are trying to record and stream using the AMD Adrenalin software while playing Battlefield 6, you might have some corruption. I, by the way, noticed that corruption in a game called The Altars. When I was recording in that game, I would have visual corruption like flicker lines, and that happened again with The Altars, but with Battlefield, I recorded some gameplays already and no issues whatsoever. Maybe I'm just lucky on that regard. And the last known issue is regarding Radeon Anti-Lag 2. Radeon Anti-Lag 2 option may not be available while playing Counter-Strike 2 DX11 with Radeon Anti-Lag 2 enabled on some AMD graphics products, such as the Radeon RX 9070 XT, as in my end it usually shows up. Users experiencing this issue are recommended to use Vulkan API as a temporary workaround, or just don't use Anti-Lag 2 at all, because you most likely don't need it. But yeah, anyway. So as you see, these drivers bring lots and lots of new things. Well, not lots of new things, at least not regarding the release notes. They bring some new things, more game support, and so on, so on, so on. But they do bring lots of fixed issues, mostly for issues that have been happening for like 3, 4, 5, 6, or even 7 months. And now most of those are fixed, at least according to AMD. So again, if you were having those issues, test these drivers and let me know, let us, the community, know in the comment section if they are actually fixed or not. Now we're going to the part that I found about these drivers. So we have new things. We have new things with these drivers, starting with a different branch for RDNA 3, 4 and older cards. And that's why the installer is now 1.6 gigabytes instead of 800 megabytes, because we now actually have the combined drivers for two branches, basically two different driver versions mixed together in the same installer. We have one driver version or one driver branch for the RDNA 2, RDNA 1 cards, and then we have another driver branch for the RDNA 3 and RDNA 4 cards. And I believe that's one of the reasons why we have so many fixed issues. I believe that AMD acknowledged that they kind of needed to do this in order to fix issues more rapidly on the newer GPUs, I guess, because again, even though we have an older branch, or even though these cards went legacy, because usually when AMD kind of separates the branches of the drivers, it means that those cards are going into legacy. In this case, the RX 6000 and the 5000 series going into legacy, but at the same time, they are still fixing issues with the RX 6000 series, so it might be, it might not be. But now we have some UI changes on the Adrenalin software, and since we have different branches, the UI changes are only for the RDNA 3 and RDNA 4 users. So as soon as you go, for example, in the performance tab, in the GPU benchmark, whatever, you go to the performance tab, you change a setting, and now instead of having the option to go apply on the right top corner, you now actually have a notification in the bottom, the center bottom, telling you if you want to apply or discard your changed settings. It is a small change UI wise, but it is there. It is a thing that's happening. And another thing is that the installer of these drivers don't really show AMD chat. And the same applies for the Adrenalin software. So this is another version where AMD kind of forgot AMD chat, and you don't really have the option to install it on the drivers while installing the drivers and after installing the drivers. While before, even if you didn't install the AMD chat, you could just go to the software and it would be there to install. With these drivers, it isn't. I guess AMD forgot about it, or it's a bug or something. And now we have an interesting thing regarding the recording with the AMD Relive or the AMD Record and Stream settings. Recording is broken, and it is broken with too much contrast, and this is something that has been happening with some cards, but it is interesting that before it was happening with older cards. So I had the issue, for example, with my RX 6000 series. It was happening there. But now in the previous drivers, I believe the 25.10.1, it also happened with my RX 9070. So the normal 9070, but the 9070 XT was fine. And now with these drivers, the 25.10.2, it is also working incorrectly with my 9070 XT. So the recording colors, the contrast is now broken with all my recent cards because the branches are different. But since the branches are different, I now go to my RX 6750 XT, for example, and the recording is fine. So the colors are normal as they should. So the older cards that were having this issue are not having this issue anymore, but the newer generation ones are having this issue, which is annoying. It's more annoying than anything, but if you want to record something, you will have to post-process then, and it's not great. The colors just should be fine. AMD needs to fix this. Another thing that I do not understand is why AMD isn't allowing the recording options for the APUs. Now, the Ryzen AI Max has 40 compute units of RDNA 3.5, which is basically very close to the RX 7600 non-XT in some case scenarios, in some games. Not all, of course, because of bandwidth, but in some games. So it can perfectly record any gameplay you want, but still, AMD won't allow that because it is a mobile GPU. AMD needs to unlock that in order to make the users happy, I believe. And that's basically what I found. So new UI changes for the newer cards. Recording was broken for the older cards. It is now working correctly, but it isn't working correctly with the newer cards. Kind of a mess. It seems that it is one of those drivers where AMD fixes a lot of things, but then breaks 2 or 3 other things. And that seems to be the case, definitely. And by the way, I noticed that in terms of performance, these drivers are the drivers that officially support Battlefield 6 and officially support Vampire Bloodlines, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines too. So in theory, the performance should be better, but it isn't. It actually isn't. In fact, it is slightly lower, with slightly lower averages, or when the averages aren't lower, we have lower 1% lows, which makes no sense. It shouldn't happen. But I guess it is what happens when you are trying to do different branches with one driver for the older GPUs and one driver for the new GPUs. I believe it will improve, and it will keep improving, of course, especially with lots of new things to come. I believe that AMD separated the branches as well in order for the FSR4 updates to come, meaning that the new features like FSR4 and so on will most likely come for the RX 7000 series, but they won't really come for the older ones. For the, let's say, for the 6000 series, because again, 2 different drivers. So yeah, maybe FSR4 is indeed coming officially very soon, and with many other things like maybe machine learning frame generation as well, but that's just me supposing, as I don't really have any insider information. But yeah, it is what it is. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. Leave your comment in the comment section. Don't forget, hit like, subscribe, and one more time, leave your comment in the comment section, because that's very important. Believe me, AMD watches lots of these videos in order to see what people are having problems with, so it is a great thing that you leave your comment in the comment section to share the experience for us all, which is again very important. Thank you very much, hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one. By the way, the AMD documentary is already being edited, and it is and will be very, very cool, so stay tuned for the next videos. Cheers.
You're going down, asshole!
Do not